This video is about some basics of polynomials. Specifically, we're going to talk about the leading term and the degree of a polynomial. We're going to add and subtract polynomials, and we're going to multiply polynomials together. So first of all, when you have a polynomial, we typically write it in descending order. So don't let this form of the polynomial here get to you. We're talking about, as an example, 5x cubed plus 7x squared minus 8x plus 3. So what we're saying is that the degree here is going to descend. And so you'll notice if this was a 7, the next one would have been a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. The degree here is 1. The a sub n terms are going to be our coefficients, and a sub 2 just means it's the coefficient of the term with the x squared, and a sub 1 means it's the coefficient of the one with the x to the first. So here we have a polynomial. In this particular case, this whole thing is our leading term because it's in descending order. Our degree, in this case, is 3, and our leading coefficient is 5. So we do need to be able to identify those. So remember, it's easiest if you put it in descending order, which is standard form. So when we want to identify the degree and leading coefficient of polynomials, we have to first write it in descending order. Then we're going to identify that leading term, because that will be the one with the highest degree. And then we will look at the degree, which is the exponent, and the lead coefficient. So in this case, we have x squared, x to the first, and technically x to the 0, which we know to be 1. It's in descending order, so this is our leading term. The degree here is going to be 2, and the lead coefficient, the number in front, is going to be 3. So don't always go for the first term unless it's in descending order. So for example, on this next example, I tried to trick you. This is not in descending order, so we're going to rewrite this in descending order. Minus 7x cubed plus 8x squared plus x minus 6. So now it's in descending order. And we can take a look at our first term, which is our term with the highest exponent. So in this case, what is our degree and what is our lead coefficient? Well, hopefully you said the degree is 3 and the lead coefficient is -7. Put that here. All right. The next thing we want to be able to do with our polynomial is add and subtract polynomials. So basically, we're just going to combine like terms, and then we're going to write it in descending order. Now, in this case, I have to distribute this negative sign first. So that's what I'm going to do first, is distribute this negative and rewrite it. 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. This will be minus x squared. -1 times 2 is -2x. And then -1 times -8 is +8. And then we're going to start collecting like terms. So we have a 3x squared minus 1x squared. So we have 2x squared. We have a minus 7x and a minus 2x. So we have a minus 9x. And then we have a plus 2 and a plus 8 or a plus 10. So our final answer, 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. If that had been a plus sign, we could have distributed the plus sign, that make the make the parentheses go away, but none of the signs would have changed. So basically, we're just going to collect like terms and write it in descending order. Multiplying polynomials is not too difficult. We just need to know the distributive property. So we're going to multiply each term of the first polynomial by each term of the second polynomial. So basically, we're going to distribute. Then we're going to collect like terms, and then we're going to write it in descending order. So in this case, this is a monomial, one term, and we're going to distribute it here. So 4x times 3x is 12x squared, and 4x times negative 8 is negative 32x. And that is in descending order, and there are no like terms to be added. Now, sometimes they're a little harder, they're a little bigger, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to distribute this 2x all the way through. So 2x times 3x squared is going to give me 6x cubed. 2x times the minus 7x is minus 14x squared. And then 2x times 4 is going to give me 8x. So I'm kind of done with this 2x now. And now I need to multiply the negative 1 through each of these. I'm going to do that in blue. And you're going to notice that I'm going to write it underneath that red part that I already did so that I can line up my like terms. So minus 3x squared is going to go here, plus 7x, and then minus 4. And I do that. It's not necessary to do that. You can write it as a big long chain, but it's a little bit easier than to collect our like terms. Minus 14x squared minus 3x squared is minus 7x squared. Here we'll get 15x and minus 4. So that is how you multiply polynomials. When we multiply two binomials, we're really doing the same thing. Let's go ahead and do that exactly like we did on the previous page. We're going to first start by distributing our 3x through. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. And then 3x times 5 is 15x. And then we'll move on to the negative 1, and we'll get minus 2x and minus 5. So what I want to call your attention to is that what we really did is we multiplied the two first terms. Then we multiplied 3x times 5, which are the two outer terms. Then negative 1 times 2x was our inner terms. And then our lasts. So that's why we have this specific acronym FOIL when you have two binomials. Adding our like terms here is going to give us 6x squared plus 13x minus 5. So don't think that foiling is anything different. It's just when you multiply two binomials, we can use an acronym to kind of help us keep our way. So something else, something that a lot of students have difficulty with, is multiplying out perfect squares. For example, 5x minus 3 quantity squared. So technically, this is 5x minus 3 times itself 5x minus 3. And if we FOIL, because it's binomials, we'll get 25x squared minus 15x minus 15x plus 9, or 25x squared minus 30x plus 9. It's very, very common for people to want to distribute this 2, and we can't do that because that would only give us the 25x squared and the positive 9, and we would miss out on our middle term. However, we can make this a little bit nicer for us, because you'll notice that when we did this, we had a minus 15 and a minus 15. So what we can do, we'll follow these steps up here, is square the first term, 25x squared, square the last term, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. We can multiply 5x times negative 3 and get negative 15. So for the middle term, we're going to double the product of the two terms. So we're going to get negative 15, and we're going to double it. We're going to get negative 30x. So you can do one of two things. You can either multiply it, write it next to itself and FOIL, or you can use the shortcut method here. So let's use the shortcut method on this one. We're going to square the 2x, 4x squared. We're going to square positive 3 and get positive 9. We're going to multiply 2x times 3 and get 6x, but we're going to double it and get 12x. So that's just a nice way to do that. It saves you some time. That concludes this video. Thank you for listening.